Welcome to Air Mozilla, a live interactive chat coming to you from the Mozilla headquarters in Mountain View, California. We're speaking with Mitchell Baker, Mozilla's CEO and Chief Lizard Wrangler. She'll be talking about the state of the Mozilla project. Welcome, Mitchell, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Asa.
You were part of the original Mozilla.org team, and you've been with Mozilla as a leader for about 8 years now. Can you tell us how you first got involved with Mozilla?
Sure. I got involved with Mozilla before the actual launch. When it was announced, the Netscape management team decided they would release the source code. And then there were a bunch of questions about, well, how does this work? What does that actually mean? And the answer was, good questions, go figure them out. So I started mostly with the license, because in open source, the license is how you run your project, how you govern it, how people interact, whether you set a lot of rules, whether it's open. So we spent a few months actually writing a license. It was a good lesson for Mozilla. We were told flat out it was impossible at the beginning, but we did succeed, and we had a very public process for writing the Mozilla license, which I think was unusual. It was a good exposure for all of those executives and myself who hadn't been working in code before to actually do something in public and get comments and have public news groups. So I started with the license, which has been relatively successful. But then, of course, there's a bunch of other questions. How do you have CVS access? Who's involved? What do you do with people who aren't employees? How do you have a good way for all of those people to be involved, to become legitimate and get authority? And those things all came my way as well. So I worked on it, those kind of questions, for about a year, and then after a year I joined full-time. I talked to Brendan, who was the technical leader even then, and we talked about what I had done and my approach and whether I seemed to have the right attitude for working with engineers and being open and delegating authority. And Brendan was pretty comfortable, and I think made a real effort to make me feel welcome and see if I could actually do what I was trying to do.
Okay, and what is your role today with the Mozilla organization?
Well, I have many roles. Sometimes I think of our organization as being a tagged organization where there are lots of different tags that apply to any one of us. But one of them is I spend a lot of time trying to articulate what really makes Mozilla Mozilla. Clearly software and clearly communities, but we're not just Firefox, and we're not just building releases of software. There's something more. People participate for a reason, they get involved, we all spend enormous amounts of time and energy. So what drives us, and what things do we have in common? So there's a lot of time trying to articulate that, both through things like the Mozilla Manifesto, in some of our policies, and in trying to design what the foundation should do. I think we should be doing more than we are, so what is that? I also spend a fair amount of time on sort of product and market pressure. So the browser is important for the internet as a whole. We have a product that's relatively successful. What does that mean? How do we think about our users? Now there's lots of activity in the browser space. How do we welcome that activity while simultaneously trying to make our own product the best and help people with that? And then finally, I spend a lot of time thinking about how to bring our community norms of building software into other activities. And that is, in many ways, the newest and hopefully the most creative. If I'm successful, in thinking well, then it will be creative. Because we're doing lots of new activities, and it's easy to go back to known ways. But we're successful because of being open and having all sorts of people come from different perspectives and participate. So trying to find ways to bring that into marketing, into our governance, into how we operate, and decisions everywhere.
And going forward, what do you see as your role over the next year or two with Mozilla? More of the same, or are you going to be doing new things for Mozilla in the coming years?
Well, I hope new things, because I hope Mozilla is doing new things. One thing I'm very eager to see happen is for the foundation to figure out actual new initiatives. So we know that building the software that we do is fundamentally critical to the internet. And we've done that for a while, and we're effective at that. But the Mozilla message and the trust that people have in Mozilla, when they think of Mozilla and they think of Firefox, many people have trust, and we also have many ways for people to participate. And there's a message about the internet and what makes the internet healthy and what makes internet life good. And that is participation, that people can get involved. You don't have to, but you can when you want to. And I think that message that participation is how you determine your own destiny is true both in the United States, but also in developing countries, and that's both a message I think Mozilla can deliver, and we have the communities and the frameworks to actually see how people want to get involved and what different communities make the internet, and that's what I hope to be doing.